This is an overview of the KC HART program's portable communications capabilities. One of the things we determined after looking through the needs of the hospitals was that they all have to determine what they call an alternative care site. We wanted to make sure that those communications capabilities, which we'd worked so hard to develop inside the hospital, could follow them outside the hospital. It's a place that they generally don't like to go, but when they go, we want to be able to follow. So we developed some kits, and we did it kind of two different ways because we did it differently on each side of the state line. But we're going to start with showing you the capability that was developed for the Missouri side. We developed 6 of these kits, and so you can see it's a fairly large Pelican box that keeps them from walking off by themselves. It also makes sure that there's plenty of protective foam on the inside. We kind of spec'd for 2 inches around every piece of equipment in all directions. So it made for a fairly big box. These boxes do have handles, they do have rollers. They weigh in at about 35 to 40 pounds, and so they're not unwieldy, but it's always a good idea to have 2 people when you're trying to handle them, especially if you have to lift them up into a truck or car. So inside this case, what you'll see is more or less exactly what the folks have in the hospitals, except for the HF capabilities. So we have all the VHF and UHF capabilities. Across the top here, you'll see a couple of antennas. Those are dual band for 2 meter and 70 centimeter. Inside, what you're going to find is the same configuration you find at the hospital. One 8900 that's configured for voice, one 8800 that's configured for data, and they're mounted right to their power supplies. So the power supplies act as a base and a weight so that they don't slide around when you grab a microphone. And the 8800 already has the packet TNC attached to the top, and you can see that that's strapped on with some tie straps. Again, power supplies are redundant. One power supply could run both radios at the same time if you needed to. So you can pull around the back, you'll see that there's fuses that you may need to access should you lose a fuse for some reason. There's the data cable that goes between the radio and the TNC, and then the connections for the antennas are in the back, a standard SO239. All right, so in the front pocket, we have all the miscellaneous pieces that you're going to need to operate. First, Carolyn's going to pull out one of the microphones. You're going to have 2 microphones in there, but remember, the unit for data really is only for data, and you'll only need that if you decide that you have a failure with the 8900. You'll have power cords. These are standard, like what you'd find for a computer with that end. If you need a longer one, your hospital can probably provide you with one of those. Those goes directly to the power supply from your 120 volt AC. There's the other microphone. Inside, we've given you a lot of coax and a couple of magnetic mount bases that you can use to set up your antennas with. So we'll show you here. Coax is 2 50-foot lengths with barrel connectors so that you can make one 100-foot run out of it or 2 50-foot runs. If you're not using the data side, you can do that with the voice to get it out of the building. Sometimes getting it out the door is challenging. The magnet mount base stations, even if you don't put that, these antennas are designed to not require a ground plane. So even if you put that on something not metallic, the magnet you'll find is very heavy, weighs several pounds, and is a good solid base for getting that set up. And that too has 25 feet of coax attached to it, so that gives you even more length away from the radios. The last thing I would mention about this case is it was designed with the intent of having some extra space in the middle. You may ask why we did that and why it made the case so big. We really expected the hospitals to provide a laptop computer to go with this so that we can take advantage of the data systems that the APERS or the Signal Links will provide, and you'll have Signal Links in all these kits as well. You can take that section out if you do have a laptop assigned to it. Remember that that's something you're going to have to continually keep updated and maintained, and then you'll want to cut the foam squares. They're already pre-cut. So just find yourself a square row that fits your laptop. If it's a nice beefy laptop like a Panasonic Toughbook, you might end up taking out 2 rows. If it's more of a thin style laptop, you can probably get away with just taking out 1 row and then maybe taking out a square box down at one end or the other to put the power cord, serial cable, those kind of miscellaneous items. Feel free that if you need this, you want to know what's in it so that you can augment it if you need to. I would start by asking the hospital if they want to donate things like a power strip, stuff like that we found are very handy. So there should be 2 magnet mount bases, 2 sets of coax, 50-foot runs, 2 antennas or elements to go on top to make those radials, 2 radios, 2 microphones, and that makes the kit. We do encourage you to get these out, utilize them, make sure the programming is current, and make sure that they've been well exercised at least once or twice a year. So a couple of last minute words about putting the kit back together. As you can see, we've put the radios back in the boxes, in the holes. We put all the coax back in the slot. A couple things to say about the antennas. One is there's no need to adjust these antennas. Please do not try to tune them. They are ready to go right out of the packages. Second thing, and probably the most important, is they just barely fit in these kits. In fact, we changed which antenna we purchased for these kits because of it. The thing to be most cognizant of is there's a watertight seal around these edges. If you get that packaging caught in those seals, A, it keeps them from being watertight, and B, you can potentially damage the end of the antenna and or the case seal itself. So when you're putting this back together, this is probably the last step, but it's probably the most important step. Before you're ready to close the lid, just make sure that seal hits. These latches come down. It's a two-step process, like that. And then you go around to all 6 latches on each side, like that. Ready to go. As we showed you in the Missouri kit, this is the Kansas kit, so the concept is the same, which is that it's portable capabilities, particularly for voice, and that's one of the things that they did with this kit. A little different design, same concept, 2 50-foot runs of coax so that you can get the antenna out and away out of the building. Underneath here, you've got a foam panel. It's easier just to pull this one out than it is in the other kit. Power cord for the power supply, so we'll set that here. This is the 8800 radio, same exact radio as what's in your facility. Should be programmed the same. If it's not, you want to make sure that that happens. It's got the antenna connection on the back, and it's got the power cord. And then there's a cord, a separate cord, that goes with that goes from that T connector, this is the T connector, to the back of the power supply. So here we have bare wires, and they're going to go into the power supply. So on the power supply, you've got connectors in the back that screw down with a screwdriver, which is included in the kit, and then it connects with the power cord that was provided. So we'll set that out. The radio can go around top. Power cord gets connected in the back. Other things that are in here, microphone, very important to have that. I would caution you to take care of this pin, just like on a computer cable. These are fragile. If they get caught and broken off, pretty much you're done with that microphone. Also included in the kit is an extension kit. So if you want to remote the head, snap the head off, plug this in, and then you can set the radio closer to maybe the window where your antenna is going outside. Again, same kind of a clip. It's a different size jack, but it goes in behind the head on the radio and plugs in there and plugs into the head itself. You can also remote the speaker if you have an extension speaker with you. One is not included in the kit. Last but most important is an antenna. Just like in the Missouri kit, it's a mag mount base. This one, due to its size and to get it in the kit, it's a little lower gain antenna, but the concept is the same. And it has enough coax to feed it out the window of a classroom or something in a shelter or whatever you're using for your alternate care site. And then last but not least, instruction manual. So you've got this manual for the 8800. That's going to come with it in case you need to read up on how to do something in particular, like change a fuse or program the radio for something special. This is what's in the Kansas kit. It's great. One of the advantages of this kit was because it was less expensive, they were able to buy one for every facility, whereas the Missouri kit, we have a limited number, and so they're kind of deployed throughout the region.